Hi guys, this is Shelly, and today I'm going to walk you through how to create a shape card using fonts and words. And we are going to simply start with an untitled blank studio document. Of course, I've opened Silhouette Studio. You want to make sure that your grid is showing, so let's say your grid looks like that where it's plain. We're going to go up here to where it says View, bring it down where it says Show Grid. Okay, and I'm actually going to change my options just a little bit because it's been kind of difficult to get this lovely computer of mine to focus. So I'm going to make my grid just a tiny bit lighter. Let's see what we can do here. I'm going to switch just a tiny bit, just barely showing, just enough so I can see what I'm doing. All right, you may not be able to see the grid, but I can, so we're good. All right, so now what you're going to do is you'll start by selecting your font button, and we're going to go over on the side and select a font. Today I'm actually going to use a font called Deftone Stylus. One thing I like about this font is that it has nice thick lines. It's easy to read. So if you're choosing a font to incorporate into a word shape card, then you're going to want to make sure you choose a font that actually has those nice, thick, heavy lines. Okay, so other things don't necessarily work. Come on. Deftone, I know you're here somewhere. I'm coming to the conclusion I have way too many fonts. Alright. Where are you, guy? There it is. Okay, so Deftone Stylus. I'm just going to go ahead and leave it at 72 point for now because I can change that. Come over here and I'm going to type in the word thanks. Okay. Now one thing to notice about, notice about Deftone, if you can look at this, they overlap. This is showing the outlines, so it's a little bit easier to see where they overlap. If this was solid, you wouldn't. So merging this word is going to be very simple. It's not going to require any regrouping. Now, if you needed, let's say you wanted to use a font that was not connected, which most of them actually are not, then let's pick one here. I think I have a good one that I can show you. Here. Okay, this font's very cute. It's humongous, but it's very cute. Alright, so I'm going to select that, select my font key here, and let's type the word, let's just use my daughter's name, Maddie. Okay. So now if you look at this font, it's not connected, so they're all separate. Now you could create a word card with this, but it's not going to have as much shape and just, you know, be ultimately adorable if you don't break it up. I just like to break them up and weld them. So select your word here, and we're going to ungroup those. So you'll go to Object, Ungroup. I'm just going to show you how to create a welded word, just in case you don't know. Start overlapping, and I use my grid at the bottom so I can line these up so they're nice and straight. You don't have to do that, but that's what I like to do. Now if you're creating a card using this font, you don't want to have a bunch of stuff dropping down below unless you're going to add additional elements in this area here, and the reason why is if you do, the card won't stand upright. So I'm just actually going to put this up here. And then what you would do is select the entire box again. You would go to your modify window and weld together. Alright, so then that would be the base word. So let's go back to our other word. But this one is already put together for us, which is nice. But I am going to weld them. Okay, just so I can see what I'm working with. Alright, so now this is my font that I'm going to be working with, and it has obviously been welded. I'm going to go ahead and select a black line so you can see it. Oh, hello. Okay, so that way you can see the word. Alright, so now what we're going to do is I'm going to select, I'm going to select this and just expand it to where I want it. If I wanted it a little bit taller, I can stretch it out a bit. I don't like to warp them too much because I think that it looks a little strange. Alright, but that's how I want it. So I have, you know, a nice cute word here. Now if I was only going to do the word, I was going to do nothing else, then I would do this. I would select this, I would go to my offset screen, offset, and then I would bring this offset down until it was about the place I wanted it. Okay, and I'll show you a more complex version adding things in just a minute, but we'll put this card together first. So then you're going to select that offset which we just created, and you would actually create another one. Now the reason I like to do this is because I like it to stand up nicely. I like it to have a nice even edge all the way around, because if not, I would be taking a little bit off of here and I'd be taking a little bit off of here. So I just like to create another one just so I know exactly how big it is and what I'm working with. I'm just going to shove that over the side. Alright, now the next step is to again select your offset. That's part of the word. We're going to go up to Object, Transform, and then down to Mirror Options. Once you get to Mirror Options, you have some different choices. We're actually going to mirror above because I want my card to open up. I want it to be folded up at the top for this one. So we're going to mirror above. Now, an important step. Do not use your mouse to modify or manipulate this top piece, which is actually the back of your card. The reason I say this is because if you do try to pick it up with your mouse and move it to bring it down towards you, you can just move slightly to the left or right and it's not going to fold properly. Okay, it's going to show some, it'll show pieces from the back. It needs to be in a very specific place. So now what you're going to do is you're just going to use your arrow key actually to bring it down and to create that overlap. So now you can see in the space here we have an overlap. In the space here we have an overlap. Okay, now I'm going to shift and select. So I'm selecting both back pieces. Okay, so this is my front offset, my back offset. I'm going to go back to my modify window. I'm going to weld them together. Okay, so now I basically have the backing of my card. To incorporate perforation lines, I'm going to pick my line tool here and I'm going to see where those letters join, so I know exactly where half is. Okay, exactly where I need this card to fold. And I'm going to start just inside, and what I try to do, if you look at the little square, and it may be hard, I mean the little plus sign, it may be difficult to see, but I try to have the left side of the plus sign adjacent or right next to the back, or right next to the edge of the line. The reason I do this is if I were to bring it over, if I didn't leave this little bit of space here, then the perforation would go all the way to the edge and it just would not look as nice. It would not be as clean. Okay. Oh, you guys can hear my dogs barking. Alright, so we're going to do a second one here. Make sure those are nice and straight when you're laying them in, and you can see if there's any jagged areas in the line, you want to go ahead and fix that. So we're going to go up here to the little scissors, the cut style window. We're going to select that. I'm going to go down to perforate. Okay, and so now that has been perforated. All of these red lines would be standard cuts. If we did not perforate this, it's going to cut your card basically in half, give it a nice big area there. So let's go down to perforate again. I selected that. So now you can see the gray areas. This is where my fold is going to be. Okay, if you don't want perforations, if you think you can fold it without it, that's great. And there are a lot of times that I do, but you want it to be nice and exact when you're folding it. And so the perforation lines do help. Okay, so the next step is to, we're just going to go back. Let's see. Oh, what did I do? Okay, so we're going to go back here. Now when you print the card, first of all, let's select the perforation lines and group them to the backing of our card. So I'm just shift selecting them, and then I'm going to group these. Pull it down to group. Okay. So if I'm printing my card, I would obviously print, this would be this one here, you can see. This would be my card base. Then I have an additional offset here. Remember how I told you if you don't put this in, it's going to cut off part of the T? So we want to make sure we put that in. Okay. And if you don't care, you don't have to, but I do like to have them nice and spaced evenly. So that's where we would glue this. Obviously you're not going to cut this here. You would cut this in the same color as the background and then you would lay it on top.